Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host, Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
I'm willing to buy some of those Laker shares if they're available.
I don't think they are, because Jeannie Buss might have a point and a leg to stand on. We'll get into all that coming up on tonight's edition of the Outlet Forum. Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. We got the Cavs with a big trade tonight that kind of tilts a little bit of the free agency market. We'll get into that and those ripple effects. The Saints and the Cowboys practice fights. If we have time, we'll get into a few jokes on that, Chris. Obviously, the NBA coming out with quotes refuting ESPN's report about negotiating punishment with Steve Ballmer. It's just very weird. We'll get into a clip about that. And obviously, Chris, the Lakers drama is just something that just can't stop going these days. So it's week to week to week. I feel like we're going to find out more news about the Lakers by the time we get another show. It's been, even though the Lakers have had such a great offseason, it's been story after story going the opposite way after LeBron James repeatedly or reportedly bowed out. So, but first, Chris, we got to get into the news of the day, the news of right
today.
Now. And
not yesterday, not the day before.
Not yesterday, and not the day before. Today. And this is actually on the court, right? This is not an investigation. This is not a sale. This is not a lawyer case. This is not
liquidating assets to avoid jail.
Although it's very interesting. Like, I really would like to, I think, honestly, Chris.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll get it.
Hold
on. News of the day.
We might have to get into a full, like, when it all comes out, when the smoke
You can't
clears.
tease news of the day and then go into some of the other stuff.
I'm just saying. Well, you interrupted me. I was just saying we might have to absolutely touch on this Mark Walter thing from top to bottom when all the dust settles. We'll get into all that. But first, the news of the day, the Cavs finally make a move. And they tell Jonathan Kuminga, go sit on your thumb, bro. We're not giving you this money. We're going to go ahead and do what we think is right. We're obviously got James Harden waiting in the wings because he declined his option. He's a free agent, but he's supposed to re-up with the Cavs. That's the understanding that he has. Again, shout out to James Harden. James Harden is always making sure he gets his bag. Whether he takes a little haircut or not, shout out to him. I've always given him his props on this show. But the Cavs land Peyton Watson, a very young, restricted free agent that Denver was just in financial straits on. They couldn't afford him on a new deal. They could have, but they're actually already technically in the second apron, Chris. So you got Peyton Watson going over to the going from the Denver Nuggets to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Clippers get involved. They send Trey Man. Actually, no, Trey Man is a part of the Clippers.
It's a separate trade, yeah.
Separate trade, but the Clippers get Max Strus, which is a good shooter for them, but he's no Peyton Watson. Denver gets a first and a second round pick about 5 years from now in 2031 and 2032. I don't know if that's going to mean much because Jokic might be gone by then. But at the end of the day, Chris, Peyton Watson is the true winner here. The Cavs are also the winners because they get somebody to upgrade Max Strus. Even though he's not a better shooter, he is a better overall player and can do more things. And they grant him a 4-year, $88 million extension.
Yes, sir.
So at $22 a year, which is about the amount that Jonathan Kuminga reportedly wants. And we'll get into him in a little bit as well. But Chris, what do you make of this trade and how is it going to affect the Eastern Conference now that a pretty effective player is going over to the Eastern Conference, and now the Cleveland Cavaliers have gotten their roster almost lined up once they re-sign James Harden?
Well, let me say this. I thought it was a savvy deal. We had been hearing that the Cavs were in the market for another swingman, right? Ideally, someone to play the 3 spot. Assuming Harden is back, which I think he will be, you've got Donovan Mitchell, and you got your front court. Even though Jared Allen has been in like a million trade rumors the last 2 years, he ain't going anywhere, and neither, obviously, is Evan Mobley. Peyton Watson, to me, Chaz, is a better fit than Jonathan Kuminga for them. Less of a headache. I think he's a guy that could be effective without necessarily having to score the basketball. He did show some improvement this past year. Unfortunately, that progress and that improvement was halted because of the injuries, and we weren't ever able to see him in the second half of the season. And then you could kind of make the argument that Denver was missing that piece, especially in that Minnesota series. They could have used his length, his athleticism against Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. So it's a really good pickup for the Cavs. A tough loss for Denver, to be quite honest with you. I think they're getting the worst out of this. An unprotected pick, okay, 2031, a second rounder in 2032 from the Sacramento Kings. Like, who cares? Denver is in a position to win now. And when you are letting some of these assets go, and Peyton Watson's one of the few young guys that has actually played well for them over the last few years, that is a major issue right there. So Clippers get a good piece in Max Strus. I mean, Clippers all of a sudden now, especially if this Kawhi Leonard trade ends up going through, they're going to be a solid team. I don't know if they're going to be a great team, but they could definitely be in the play-in mix if they're able to stay healthy next year. So Strus is going to be solid, but obviously the Cavs get the best piece out of it, and that's Peyton Watson, who is not just going to be a one-year rental, but on the roster for the next 4 years at least, and slides right in between a very long and athletic front court and a dynamic back court, and a guy that could do everything in between. If he could just consistently knock down a corner three, I think they're going to be just fine. So solid move for Cleveland. And Chaz, it leads to my next point. What does this now mean for Jonathan Kuminga?
I don't know, but I want to stay on the Cavs really quick.
Okay.
Potential starting lineup: James Harden, if they re-sign him, Donovan Mitchell, Peyton Watson, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. It's a
loaded five.
Formidable five. I'm not sure what that bench looks like since they got rid of Dean Wade.
And
right?
Schroeder. Well, no, Dean Wade was a starter, right? I mean, he started because Strus was out most of the year. But yeah, Wade's gone. Strus is now gone. We mentioned Dennis Schroeder's gone. I think Keon Ellis is floating out there. Yeah.
Tyson is going to have a pretty big role, and we already knew that.
Tyson and Porter. I don't know who else they got in free agency or through the draft. So, I mean, we'd have to look that up. But that starting five, the depth is a little questionable. I'll give you that. But if that starting five is able to stay healthy, Chaz, they're going to be a tough out. I mean, we said coming into the year, Cleveland, assuming they bring back Harden and assuming they get a Kuminga or Mario Hezonja. That was the other signing that they got. Yeah, Mario Hezonja. So good stretch for kind of a poor man's Dean Wade. They're going to be in the mix. I just don't know where in the top six I would put them. They'll be in the top six. I just don't know where compared to New York, Philadelphia. I still think Boston will be in the mix. Toronto, if this trade goes through and Kawhi stays healthy. I think Indiana, I know everyone's like, oh, Indiana sucked last year. Indiana's going to be up there next year. Mark my words. Detroit, I think, now falls out of the top six into the play-in. I know I'm missing somebody else. Who else am I missing that's going to be good in the East? Would you throw Orlando in there?
I mean,
Miami.
Miami, of course. Yeah, Miami, of course. But I do think that Cleveland is going to be pretty formidable. I think it's Cleveland, the Knicks, and the Sixers. Those are the three teams that should be 1, 2, and 3. I don't think Detroit should be there any longer.
No,
they'll be competitive.
Yeah,
they'll be competitive, but I don't think they've improved enough. And I don't think that the Indiana Pacers, even with Tyrese Halliburton, just have the same roster that they had 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, or not even a year and a half, a year and a few months ago, when they got to the finals against the OKC Thunder. So ultimately, it's really just going to come down to the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Cavs. And out of those rosters, I like the Sixers starting five, but I like the Knicks' continuity in their bench as well. Mm-hmm. So in the East, it's going to be pretty. It'll be
a dogfight.
It'll be a dogfight at the top because you still got Boston, you still got Miami. Mm-hmm. I do think that the Wizards are going to be live with Trae Young and Anthony Davis. I don't think they're going to be, great, but I do think Charlotte is a competitive, formidable roster that's going to be right in the mix for a play-in spot as well. And the Bulls have always been, these last few years, just a team,
Oh, don't
even though
forget
they.
Atlanta. Did you say Atlanta?
No, I didn't say Atlanta, but
Yeah,
I think
Atlanta. They'll be in the
I
mix
don't think
too.
the Bulls are better than Atlanta. They're going to
No,
be right there for a playing spot. Obviously,
sure.
Atlanta's going to be there for a playing spot as well. So
Right,
I'm just
right.
mentioning teams towards the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bottom
for
that are going
sure.
to be there and competitive, but obviously not at the top, but just
And I
going to
didn't
be in
want
the
to
mix.
interrupt, but I was saying I know I was missing a team that everyone's like Kendrick Perkins talked about, and I'm like, who is that team? It's Atlanta. Obviously, we're not in full on basketball mode yet because all of the storylines have been off the court, right? The controversy of Mark Walter, the stuff with the Clippers, there has not been on the court stuff. This trade was actually a breath of fresh air. And let me say this: you're right about Cleveland. They're going to be right there in the mix. I think Peyton Watson is a good fix, a good fit. Kenny Atkinson is going to hopefully help him, maybe open up that next gear, that next dynamic to his game. But I want to say something about Denver. Um, to me, this was a foul up on their end. And the only thing is, you're by making this move, you're believing in Gordon, which is fine. Aaron Gordon's fantastic, but Cam Johnson and Christian Brown, bro, over a guy like Peyton Watson. What do you think about that? Is that the right bet for the Denver Nuggets? I mean, considering that, you
It,
know, Nikola Jokic got this extension coming up. I don't know now. Does this send the best
it's
message?
it's a direct correlation between giving the wrong guy the most money. And at the time it was, but over a 5 year period, right? I don't know how long Jamal Murray is into his deal, but having to pay those guys over somebody like Peyton Watson, obviously because Peyton Watson in the last, 4 or 5 years
Hmm.
has become better than he was when he made the decision to give Jamal Murray his deal. So I think to me, it's just economics. And then you also had the CBA change in the time since you gave Jamal Murray his deal and Peyton Watson getting better as well. Jamal Murray is, oh man, Chris, he was the first hit last year. He'll make 50 this year. He'll make 53 next year.
Mm,
He's not off the books for another 4 years,
wow.
3 years,
Yeah.
maybe four because so unless you can trade that contract. So it's a direct correlation to that. And just a couple notes on Denver. There are 1.3 million over the second apron and have 2 roster spots open. So they don't even have a full roster now that they got rid of Peyton Watson. They will get a trade exception. So obviously they're going to be able to trade guys for half of Peyton Watson's salary. They're going to get an exception, slide somebody in at about 11 million, but they're not allowed to use and exceed the second apron because it's a sign and trade that they're doing with Peyton Watson.
I see. Okay.
So they can't even trade into that fully in terms of that exception. And they had 0 tradable first round picks prior to this trade. They now get 1, but it's not until 2031. So
Mhm.
Denver financially, if you can't win with this roster, they don't have a bunch of flexibility
No. I mean,
in order to get better
you'd have
outside of trading core guys like
your
Christian Brown,
Cam Johnson, Aaron
Cam
Gordon,
Johnson,
and
Aaron
Jamal Murray.
Gordon,
It would
Jamal
be
Murray.
those 3 or 4. Okay. So basically, they're in the same spot as Boston was going into the 24-25 season, basically. Or I should say 25-26 season, where they had to break up that core in order to get some flexibility. Trade Drew Holiday, trade Porzingis, let Al Horford walk. They're in that mode where we're so
Yeah.
top heavy that we, can't afford to get better on the margins because unless we get guys on 1 year minimums or the mid-level exception or biannual exception, whatever exceptions there are. And like right now, if you notice, what is their pivot, Chaz? They lose Watson. They're going after DeMar DeRozan, who's still a good player. I mean, I'm interested to see what that fit is going to be like since DeRozan is a mid-range player, very ball dominant, but he's a guy willing to go there on a cheap deal, right? So that's the other aspect of it. Anyway, yeah.
So the guy left out in musical chairs after Mario Hazonia went to Cleveland,
Mhm.
after Peyton Watson has gone to Cleveland,
Yeah.
after Atlanta has giving up on a sign and trade um, after the Lakers have made their offer on a multi-year deal to get Jonathan Kuminga. He's the guy that's left out in terms of the higher talent of a free agent, right?
Right.
That doesn't have a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Does this make him look around and take a 1 year deal with the Lakers to rehab his reputation to get more money and re-up? Does he take a 2 year deal with a player option? Like, does he go to another franchise outside of the Lakers, even though he
Yeah.
would at this point be perfect for the Lakers?
He would. The only other team that he's been linked to is the Minnesota Timberwolves. But at this point, does the market open up if he's willing to take that 1+1, which I said all along, 2 years, 20 million. Basically, 1 year is guaranteed and 1 year is a player option. Ball out, shut up, have your crew, meaning your agent and representation and your support system shut up, play really good basketball on a winning team, whether it's the Lakers or Minnesota. Both teams are going to be top 5, assuming they stay healthy in the Western Conference, right?
Assuming.
The reason I think the Lakers are a better fit is because there is more of a need, and there is no one on the Lakers who could do what Jonathan Kuminga can do from that combo forward spot. Whereas Minnesota would be more of a luxury item, right? Minnesota is going to probably look like Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Ant-Man, Ayo Dosunmu, and then we don't know about that 5th spot. So I don't know. That's why I think they're looking at a guy like Kuminga who could maybe fill in where McDaniels used to fit in, because McDaniels would be more in the front court. And maybe who's the head coach there? Chris Finch could maybe have them as interchangeable
I don't see it.
3 and 4.
Chris,
I don't see it either. I'm just saying that's the only other team besides the Lakers and the Cavs that Kuminga was linked to. So if it's not the Lakers, I suppose it's Minnesota, but Minnesota is also financially handicapped. So what do you do if you're Kuminga? Beggars can't be choosers at some point.
No, he can. He can choose exactly what he wants to do. It's just he has one less option in the Cavs now since Peyton Watson has been traded for. So if Kuminga won't go to the Lakers, then I don't know what they're going to do in terms of filling out that small forward spot with an athletic wing that the Lakers are lacking in their starting lineup, and potentially having a stronger bench. But going off the court on the Lakers, Chris, another twist for the Lakers. So they were just sold like a Hamptons vacation rental home
Awful.
last week from Mark Walter to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner, which we've, covered last week. But now this week, it turns out that the family, the other 5 Buss siblings outside of Jeannie Buss, that's Johnny, Janie, Joey, Jimmy, and Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
They all voted to sell their 17.8% share in the Lakers as a tag-along provision that was created when Mark Walter purchased the Lakers for $10 billion last year. We don't even know if they contacted Bob Iger and Josh Kushner about this sale, but it was reported by Shams Charania. He stood 10 toes down on his reporting, and it turns out that the Lakers may not even be sold because Jeannie Buss is contesting the sale, but she didn't even vote in this. And ironically, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, she is one of the main trustees, along with her sister Janie and her brother Joey, I believe.
Yeah.
That all 3 of them have to be on board for any shares to be sold within the family trust. Jeannie is one of those key trustees. She's not on board with it. This is from a 2017 court judgment that Jim Buss and Johnny Buss tried to pretty much do a coup and get her out, and she won that time back in 2017. So they've tried it again. I'm not surprised because of the way Jeannie pretty much fired Jesse and Joey
And Janie.
and Janie that day back in November, right before Thanksgiving last year, actually.
November 2025, yeah.
So you got all this drama, Chris. I think Jeannie Buss has a leg to stand on. I don't think that the Buss family is going to be out, given she's lowering up and having letters sent within a few hours of reported news. Chris, what do you make of all this, man?
A mess. Plain and simple. More BS from the Buss family that continues to spotlight their dysfunction, and really a testament and a disrespect to what their father stood for. That's one. Two, I hate to say this because I have a lot of respect for Jeannie. I told you last week, if Iger and Kushner, who seemed open to the idea of honoring the original deal that she struck for herself with Mark Walter, which leaves her on as team governor, I said that wouldn't be the worst thing, especially with two guys who don't have experience in this thing. She could help them ease the transition. I know Kushner and Iger have built successful businesses. Obviously, Bob Iger with Disney turned it into a powerhouse. You look at the NBA, the TV rights with ESPN, etc. Josh, I'm not as familiar with. I do know he has minority stakes in the Memphis Grizzlies and the Miami Heat. That's fine, right? Okay. Here's the problem, though. I think for once, Jeannie got a taste of her own medicine. For once. It may have been justified in 2017 because Jim and John did a horrible job running the team. She needed to get a hold of that thing to basically, get it back right. Okay. What she did, though, going back last year in this sale to Walter originally, and how she did the rest of her siblings, and then conned, she used Jim and Johnny to go against Joey and Jesse, who helped her take it in 2017 from Jim and John. So she has played both, in the words of Tim McCarver, you talk about playing both sides against the middle. That is Jeannie. So in that aspect, I don't blame the siblings who have felt at different points over the last 10 years fucked over by her, excuse my language, but it's true, to basically say, you know what? She's got it coming. We've got a leg to stand on with the tag along provision, and we're going to take that chance because now it's 5 of us against you. And the words of Tony Montana, you want to make a move? Go right ahead. But at the end of the day, if I am Jeannie and I am the Buss family, I say to myself, you know what? Let's take this last $2.5 billion, go our separate ways, and put it to bed. Because all we're doing now is continuing to embarrass the legacy set 47 years ago from our father, right? That is what they're doing. But Jeannie has nothing else. And I hate to say this, Chaz, and I'll turn it over to you, but I think this is a big point. I asked a question, why are you holding on so hard? This is a minority stake. It's leftovers. It's shoddy. Right? You're not going to have any real power.
No.
You're not going to have any real power. Let me just finish this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say this. Why is she holding on so hard at this point? Right? Why? And the thing is, I hate to say this, she really doesn't have anything else. This has been her life. So in a way, I could empathize with Jeannie and say, I get it. Because just like with every retired athlete, Chaz, that struggles to come to grips with retirement, what's the question that they ask? If I'm not this, then what am I? If I'm not Tom Brady, the quarterback, who am I? If I'm not Jeannie Buss, governor of the Lakers, who am I? That's where I think this is also being driven from. Go ahead.
In my opinion, I don't know, but the Lakers, I don't know if she feels the same way that Dr. Buss, Jerry Buss, that is, who created all of this, if she feels the same way. Like, if she had $20 billion, would she buy the Lakers back?
She can't afford that.
Because But what I'm just saying is, like,
Mhm.
if she had
Oh
the
yeah,
money, like what
I got you.
Jerry Buss said to
Mhm.
John Ireland, which he always used to say this and
Yeah,
said it
yeah.
recently. If somebody offered you $20 billion, well, would you
What
take
do you do
it?
with the money? Yeah,
And he said, the first thing I would want to do is buy the Lakers. So why would I sell the Lakers?
I got you. Yeah.
So I don't know if she feels the same way, but assuming she does, then there's the answer to your question. Why is she holding on to this so hard?
Mhm.
Is because even though you may not be the majority owner, it is important to still have enough shares to be the governor if if the majority shareholders will allow you to be, because your family and your dad and you have been the pillars to be able to hold the Laker dynasty and franchise up for the better part of going on 5 decades. So
Yeah.
that is the reason why I think that they should, or she should, try and contest this. I'm really obvious. At the end of the day, I see both sides. I'm more so on her side because she wants to keep it in the family, and the other kids or children or siblings, I should say, because they're not children,
Siblings.
they're
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And the other siblings, because they're twice as old as I am, really, in their 60s. I think one of them is even in their 70s now. They
Yeah.
want to cash out for that reason. They want to be
Mhm.
able to have access to an extra $350 million, which is
For
what it
sure.
is.
And they all
Which,
have
which is
kids, by
what
the way. They all have
which is
kids.
what yeah, which is what that extra 17.8 represents, is an extra 350 million for all six of them.
Yeah. That would be their
So
net profit.
that would be their net profit, estimated, right? Get
Yeah. Yeah. Give or
taxes
take.
and fees and
Taxes and
give or
all that
take,
stuff.
right?
Because also,
So
don't forget about the real quick. I want to go on your point. I'm going to turn it back to you just in a sec. There's also the survivor aspect of it, where on the trust, if somebody dies, that money doesn't go to the next of kin for that particular sibling. Uh, the
it
shares
stays
get
in the
bigger
trust.
for it stays in the trust. That those shares then get bigger for the remaining siblings. So there's that element of it too. So go ahead.
So
I just
really,
wanted to
so
point that
really,
out.
it's really the trust was created like a last man standing, but it was created so that way nobody could sell out, nobody could marry and divorce out and get
Right.
shares. It's made to where Jeannie has the provision.
Yeah.
It's literally created to where you have to vote, and you need 4 out of 6 votes in order to do anything, and 3 of those 4 votes have to be from these 3 main trustees, and one of them is
Mhm.
Jeannie. And if she's not with it, then nothing can be done. And that's pretty much the ironclad linchpin that she has. And honestly, it may be shrewd and it may be rude to the rest of her
Mhm.
siblings, but they got the money.
Yeah.
They're going to get billions of dollars each, right? And she received, so, like, for Jeannie, she gets the money and remains governor, which is actually pretty shrewd. But
Well, yeah, and I mean, it
she's
just
taking,
it's
she's taking advantage of her position. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, no, no. You bring up good points, and nothing you're saying is factually wrong, and I think it's going to be when you get to court, because this thing is going to have to be hashed out in court. It's going to be a chicken or the egg argument. Does the 2017 order that you alluded to usurp or outrank, let's just say that, whatever the tag along provision said? That's really going to be the
I
big question. The Bus siblings believe it does. Jeannie says it doesn't. So it's going to be up to a
I
judge to kind of make sense of all of that.
I think a judge is going to rule, because and this is just the little bit of law that I know. The trust is separate from the sale. The
Mm.
trust is in place because it's not just the Lakers. There's properties, there's investments, there's other things that are within this trust,
I'm sure.
right?
Yeah.
Outside
Yeah.
of outside of the Lakers, for the family,
Hmm.
that are separate from the sale of just the Lakers. So I think the trust is bigger and will supersede the
The
sale.
tag along
This
provision. Yeah.
correct, because that was just put in less than a year ago.
For
This
sure.
other provision has been in place for over 10 years, and the trust itself has been in place for over 40, 50 years, I believe
It's
or however
just,
long. No, it was 20, the 2006 is when the trust was put in. And that was
yeah.
actually after the other two bus children, the last two bus children,
Mm.
and Joey and Jesse were born, because this was at the behest of Jerry Buss's
Yeah, they
first
were
wife and
right.
mother of his first four children. So,
Well, I think Janie. I think he's got the kids with three different women. Actually, I think Janie's got. I'm not sure, but I think Janie's got a different mom than John, Jim, and Jeannie. Anyway, the bottom line is with all of this, it's messy, it's dysfunctional, it's dramatic. And the fact of the matter is, it's a once. I mean, granted, the Lakers had their problems right throughout these 46 years. We've had a ton of highs, but we've also had quite a few lows, specifically in the last, really since Dr. Buss passed away, but maybe shortly before that, since 2011, 2012, it's kind of been a mess, right? All things considered. And yeah, there was the championship in 2012. Great. I'm sorry, 2020, I should say. Great. That was awesome. LeBron helped get this franchise going again. Some good drafts, some good trades, things like that. However, it's making them look dysfunctional right now. And when you're Iger and you're Kushner coming into this situation, which is already going to be difficult as it is, right? To try to maintain the level that was established by Dr. Jerry Buss going back to 1979. But now you have this other aspect that you're dealing with the kids. And I know everyone's saying, well, it's not going to matter, blah, blah, blah. I think it does, because how are you supposed to know who you're working with? Who's the other minority shareholders? Who are the people that I can consult with in order to help this, once dynamic, glorious, illustrious franchise soar again? So that's the other element of this, and which is why I asked: is this still about the family and the Lakers, or is this just about Jeannie Buss now?
I think it has more so to do with the Lakers than Jeannie. I mean, it's both. Obviously, she wants to still be able to be in her position, but who's to say that she's even still going to be in that position if Bob Iger, decides year 2 or 3 into the 5-year deal that she had with Mark Walter that he wants to be the governor?
So you're walking around there.
Or if Kushner wants to be the governor, because he's actually the one putting up more money than Iger, reportedly. So,
Chaz, you're walking around that building, used to be the queen of the Lakers. Now you're walking around with an invisible gun in the back of your head, not knowing is today the day I'm going to get fired or lose my post as team governor. Okay, that's a little bit drastic, but still.
But at the end of the day, in order to even still be governor, you have to make sure that this provision supersedes this tag-along provision. And regardless of what it makes her and the family and everybody else look like, it's, in my opinion, even though it's right it's the kids' right, they're actually doing more damage to the family and the Lakers' reputation than Jeannie is. Jeannie is just taking the brunt of it because she's the face that's known. She's the one that's the governor. She's the one that's refuting the sale. And she's the one that has made all of the decisions for the Lakers for the past 10 years, primarily, ever since she forced her brothers out.
Again, I asked the question, if I'm not this, then what am I? I think that element is there. You're basically supporting that point.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's as big of a deal. Yeah. It's not wrong. It's just, I mean, if one of your siblings was trying to take an asset out of your family that you felt like that should still be in your family, damn what everybody else thinks, I'm going to do what I think is right based on what my family or what my father told me.
Okay.
So if that's the case, which we know it to be the case, because Jerry Buss is on record saying it, Jeannie Buss is on record saying it, they did a whole 10-part documentary with everybody saying it. So this isn't new news, Chris.
It's not, but it's embarrassing still. And I just want to see this thing get situated and see what happens, because this has turned out to be a really wild situation with Walter, the feds, the loans that have not been paid down, borrowing on top of borrowing and everything like that. It's like, Jesus Christ. So is this guy a shined up wooden nickel or what?
No, I mean, I just look, man. Like when you have a bunch of assets, you move money from here to there in order to do larger things. It's a
Yeah, I
like
guess so.
and when you do certain things and you move money from certain places, you get more eyes looked at on you. And like at the end of the day, we don't even know what the feds are investigating him for in terms of what the crime actually is,
Mhm.
and he hasn't been charged. So a lot of this is just speculation based on that and what we may think and what we speculate on. We don't fucking know. The feds may not even actually know.
And
But
I'm
when I tell you,
wondering.
let me just say last thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But when they do come, if Mark Walter does get charged, when the feds come, that means they have something.
Mhm.
So whatever it is, he's trying to get ahead of it. This Chelsea thing reportedly is
Mhm.
not something that he's been actually negotiating since before he even purchased the Lakers. So I
Okay.
think this big asset of the Lakers is what he can make some extra billions on to cover some other things that he needs to do. And it sounds to me, everything from Mark Walter to Jeannie Buss to Bob Iger to Josh Kushner, all just sounds like good business to me, in my opinion, to be honest.
You're looking at a glass half full, my friend.
Not. I mean, not in terms individually in each transaction. It sounds like good business for the people that are involved in
Okay.
making the decision. For Mark Walter, he flips an asset less. If you can make $2.5 billion in less than 10 months,
True. Yeah.
that's good business.
It
If you
is,
can,
but
if you
that,
can purchase an asset for 12 billion that you know is going to be worth 20 in less than a decade, it's also good business.
but
If you
Chaz, that was not the basis. Yes, you're looking at it from the business side, right? However, that was also not why they sold to Walter in the first place either. Walter, they were convinced, was there to help build a winning franchise yet again, just
think
like he did with the Dodgers. That
things
was,
change.
yeah, but that quickly and that suddenly,
Things
I
Chris, how many changes can happen in a year? Let me just say this. Every year, Chris, there's a superstar that we have no idea is going to change teams that changes teams. Giannis is the only player that we knew was going to change teams
mm,
that changed teams.
no,
We did not know LeBron James would change teams. We did not know that Damian Lillard was going to go to Milwaukee. We didn't even
Luka,
know he was going to go back to Portland.
yeah,
We
Luka
did not know that Carl Anthony Towns was going to go
to the New
from
York Knicks.
Minnesota to New York the same year that he went to the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row. We did
Mhm.
not know that Luka was going to get traded in the thief of the night from like. So there are just things that happen and change and progress over time. I'm not going to sit here and try and categorize each transaction
No, I'm not
as
asking
bad.
you
I
to. I'm
will
not
say,
asking you to.
I will say this though, Chris. It doesn't feel good as a Laker fan to sit back and not know who is going to be making the decisions long term because it doesn't even feel like somebody like Bob Iger and Josh Kushner is in it for the long haul because Bob Iger is already in his mid to late 70s as is. Kushner, he might be the young progressive owner, but he doesn't really have a sports background. He has a hedge fund background.
Mhm.
So that is the part that doesn't feel good. But in terms of
Well, look,
what
it's
you know, media reports and public speculation,
this isn't
nah.
about backgrounds to me. It's about intent. What is your intent? Is this just something for you to make money off of and then flip later? Or are you actually trying to build something? Because unlike other franchises, the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Knicks, the Yankees, these are storied franchises over here. And these are franchises that are a part of the fabric of these communities. The Lakers, the Dodgers, especially, I can't talk about New York because I've never been there. I've never visited there, and obviously I've never lived there. But the Lakers and the Dodgers bring people together. They are a big part of these communities, economically, passion, everything, right? These are the last two staples that could be the uniters for the citizens of Los Angeles. And maybe that sounds a little too politician-y, but I truly believe that. How many places can you go to where people from all different walks of LA who probably have nothing in common could actually take part and have a lot of joy and a lot of passion toward one thing and feel like not just friends, but family for a few hours.
It's just the
Just
way
saying.
it's. I think what leaves people feeling like that is I don't think Mark Walter purchased the asset to flip it. So
Okay, maybe not.
feeling like he did is not something. He did not intend to flip this franchise. He did all of the work that he has put in
Yeah, Lon Rosen
over the
and all
court.
those guys.
Like
Yeah.
he didn't the way that he was moving before. It's not like he was moving like the new owner for the Portland Trailblazers.
True. I get it.
So he was investing back into the franchise. He he fired a bunch of people, but he was in the process of bringing in his own people, which you clearly saw happen with new assistant GMs being hired.
Tony Bennett.
You had different data teams being hired on and stuff like that. You had
the rocket scientist guy.
the rocket scientist guy, the extra court that they just put in the practice facility that actually was under Walter's stewardship, even though he just sold and that just got put in or got completed this week. Exactly. There are clear investments that he made in the franchise in the last 3 months alone, let alone 6 or 10 months, that prove that he wasn't trying to flip it. It's just things changed. And kind of like what Bob Iger said with his initial statement when he purchased the Lakers, and we'll get on to the next topic before we get out of here. He said, if things change, they change. But he has intent to honor the agreement that Jeannie and Mark Walter had when he sold to Jeannie or from Jeannie to Walter. And also, reportedly, Bob Iger and Jeannie Buss sat down last Friday, according to Ramona Shelburne. So that may also be why she's contesting this, because she knows, hey, I just met with the guy. He's going to honor the deal. We're all good. We're actually making investments. So like
I think you misunderstood what I meant by intent.
No.
Okay.
I understand what you meant. I just want to say there's another side to the coin. I don't think that he meant to purchase the Lakers to flip. You don't buy a $10 billion asset to just make two.
No, I'm talking about Iger now. I think you're okay. Walter's done. It's disappointing because you're right. He had started to implement a process, so which goes to show, he was hiring the rocket scientist, Tony Bennett. Friedman was consulting with Rob Pelinka. They were doing other things to improve the analytics department, the scouting department. I got you. However, it's disappointing with how it happened. Okay, I can buy.
I agree.
Things change on a dime.
We can agree there.
We can agree there. I'm not.
Right.
I think you misunderstood what I was saying was, what is your intent, Bob Iger? What is your vision, Bob Iger and Josh Kushner? What do you want to accomplish? Because from what you said, it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in it for the long haul. That's disappointing because here's the thing. When you are part of, and that's why I went off to the diatribe, because this isn't just your run-of-the-mill business. You're trying to build something here the way he built with Disney.
Yeah.
That's how you have to look at the Lakers as.
We don't know for sure, but I would say even the same sentiment applies that I just applied to Mark Walter applies even more so to Bob Iger, and even more than that to Josh Kushner, because he's younger by 3 decades, and he's putting up reportedly even more money than Bob Iger.
Okay.
So and he's buying it for more than Mark Walter bought it for.
Great.
But what I'm saying to you, Chris, all of that being said, you don't purchase an asset for that large just to flip it. That's not something.
I hope not, Chaz. I hope not. Okay. But we are in uncharted territory with these billionaire hedge fund guys now in the mix.
You're questioning intent, and I'm telling you that you don't make an investment that large to flip it. Okay. You just don't.
I hope you're, Chaz, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
And it's an asset. It's like buying a house, honestly.
Okay.
Like buying a sports franchise in today's world is like buying, is like buying a house, honestly. In terms
That's a good
of
analogy. Good
in
comp.
terms in terms of the value of, because even if the house doesn't get redone and makeover and stuff like that, the value of the land continues to appreciate because there's less space to go around.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 30 NBA franchises. So the
Mm-hmm.
value of each one is always going to continue to go up. So even if you buy it for $12 billion, it's a solid investment because chances are it's going to be worth 15 in the next 5. It's going to be worth 20 in the next 10. So intent is to make money.
Okay.
And if
But
it comes at the cost of ruffling a few feathers and making people like you and I feel, upset because this upcoming year or the upcoming next 5 years doesn't look as promising as the last did, then so be it. But these guys are in it to make hundreds of millions, if not billions, off of this franchise and keep it as a fabric. I don't think you take a franchise like the Lakers and go and run it into the ground by doing whatever it is you want to do.
I hope
You might
not.
you
I
can
hope
barely get
not.
you barely can get away with that shit in Portland. He's trying it right now. Watch what happens when he really tries to move Portland, the Trailblazers out of Portland. It's just not going to happen. So
And the
that's
next
just my
moves.
take on it.
Okay. And points well received. I'm not necessarily disagreeing on it. I was only pushing back on the intent of trying to make this organization a winner and what that looks like through the eyes of Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. And hopefully it's the same principle that Dr. Jerry Buss had in 79. I am going to surround myself with people who know more than me about this thing that I could learn from, but I will use my business savvy to say, hey, listen, Jerry West, Mitch Kupchak, Bill Sharman, you guys run the day-to-day stuff. You need me to help close anything, I am here. Keep me in the loop. We'll discuss things and that's it. But you guys run the day-to-day. And I hope Iger and Kushner have that similar type philosophy because I think that is how true success is achieved in this business. Surrounding yourself with the right people who have the know-how and also share your passion for winning.
Well said. Let's get out of here in a few minutes on this last note. This is something that we have to discuss, but I actually hate this topic, Chris, because it involves the Clippers, and we don't care. We don't care about the Clippers as a franchise. This would be a bigger story if they had actually won a championship in the Kawhi Paul George era, Steve Ballmer era, Intuit Dome era, but they haven't.
No.
And they are circumventing the salary cap quite honestly pretty blatantly on 3 different levels now with Daktronics and Aspiration. And the third company now reportedly is
Boingo.
But actually Kawhi may have actually done a few things for them, so it may not be as big. At the end of the day, Ramona Shelburne, Baxter Holmes, Jeff Anata of ESPN reported that the Clippers investigation behind the scenes is coming to a close, and the holdup is the negotiation between the NBA and Adam Silver and Steve Ballmer of the Clippers of what level of punishment he is willing to accept and not take to a federal judge, apparently. So, Chris, what do you make of this? And why is the NBA coming out and refuting ESPN reports after they declined comment from the ESPN reporters? They asked them about this. They declined comment, let them come out with their story, and then refute it instead of just commenting that this isn't true to put it in the story.
Yeah, it's a bunch of nonsense to me. And, the fact that the element of there isn't any evidence, but it's no evidence leading to Steve Ballmer. He doesn't want to, for some reason, these commissioners, and I'll even throw Rob Manfred's punk ass into this one, even though Rob's done some good things, but I go back to 2020 about the cheating controversy with the Astros. They don't like punishing people. They have a hard time doing it. Silver did it when it came to Donald Sterling only after all of the public outrage and everything like that. That was the only move he could make. especially when you're also the new commissioner. You had just taken over 4 months earlier for David Stern, right? I think there is an element of, well, we don't want to push Steve Ballmer out because he's a good owner and everything like that. I just still think, though, here's the danger of that. What's keeping these other organizations from doing the same thing? This is the time to set a precedent and send a message to everybody else and make an example of the Clippers. I'm going to be like Adam's Family Values. We're going to make an example of them. That is what Adam Silver should be doing to Steve Ballmer. Steve, love you. You fucked up. You broke the rules. So I gotta tax you a little bit. Guys, look at the Clippers. Any of y'all want to try this crap? I will throw the book at you with this kind of suspension. I will void contracts. I will take away years of draft picks. I will take that away if you guys do not take this salary cap, which, by the way, you clowns voted on during our last CBA agreement in order to try to get the stars that you want. That's not going to happen under our watch. You don't like it? Tough shit. Adam Silver has got to lay down the law on that. But you know what? He either has a soft spot for Ballmer, there's genuinely no evidence over here, or he just doesn't care. That it's one of those three things.
Chris,
What?
I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. This whole thing is just weird. And you want to know who else thinks it's weird? Bill Simmons thinks it's weird.
Your boy.
Can we bring Bill's? This is the second week in a row that I'm actually giving a shout out to Bill Simmons. Can we just hear what Bill Simmons thinks about this? All right.
That's fine. I like Bill. Just
actual things that still make me go, huh? The Kawhi thing. We're now a year into this. He never actually did the work for aspiration, but got paid. I've just never heard an adequate explanation for that. Why are you paying somebody to not do anything? Like not even like one Instagram tweet, nothing. That's weird. Uncle Dennis, by multiple accounts, just asking everybody for under the table shit in the summer of 2019, and multiple teams going on the record saying, oh yeah, that guy was fucking asking for ownership stakes. That was weird. And then the third one was the Clippers trading Kawhi to Toronto. Put it this way, Conspiracy Bill definitely like put a hat on and studied that one, because it was like, all right, Toronto is the one team with a real reason to be aggrieved, right? They just won the title. They could have potentially he didn't want to play for the Lakers as it comes out. They could have brought this guy back. They were really good in 2020. They probably would have represented the East and played the Lakers in the finals, and all that got pulled away, and they have the biggest reason to be pissed. And instead they trade him there, and now it's like, yeah, all right, I guess we have Kawhi now. It's fine. Those are the three things that caught my eye.
Yeah.
Just weird, Chris. Just weird.
Because
weird
we also don't know,
But also, Chaz, we also don't know that this no evidence thing, if Ballmer is cleared of any wrongdoing, does that mean that the trade could still happen? And if so, does Toronto want the trade to happen only if only after or before Kawhi's contract gets voided? You know what I mean? Or if it gets voided. That's the thing about it now.
At this point, more than what's going to happen, it just speaks to the level of if this comes out that the Clippers did no wrong, if they found nothing, essentially, there's nothing that they even speak to in this investigation, in their report, terrible. I guess, that they speak to that is going to be not a smoking gun, but just evidence that's circumstantial that you have to be able to point to. I don't know how Adam Silver and the NBA can have any kind of credibility when it comes to holding their league accountable. Then it opens up to all kinds of things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The questions about tanking, the questions about the draft lottery, the questions about, the script, right? That's more so in the NFL, but that's just in sports in general. It opens up the door to a lot of questions for NBA lovers and fans such as you and I and millions of others around the world.
The game is rigged. That's what people are going to think.
It's this is very, people don't care on a national level like as much as they do, but the people that care about this game really do care about the outcome of this investigation. And I really hope that Adam Silver sees it that way. It's the craziest thing, really, because Adam Silver works for the owners. The owners don't work for him, right? So it's like you punishing your boss that pays you your salary in order to run your business the way that you and your 29 other partners deem fit. And that's the dynamic with this, and why Adam Silver and his team and the NBA execs have to negotiate with Ballmer to get him to accept the punishment, because they know that he has the money trail and the dollars, as well as the resources and the representatives, to take this all the way to the Supreme Court and then some if he has to. So that's really it in a nutshell for Steve Ballmer in the NBA. And it's just whack to me that at the end of the day, the fans are the ones that get,
again,
the short end of the stick, because the Clippers, do this shit and it doesn't work for them. But just because it doesn't work for them, they don't get held accountable. No, because if that shit happened with the Lakers or the Knicks or the Celtics or the Bulls or any prominent franchise of
Miami,
real meaning, or the Warriors,
yeah,
not even Miami as well, but any real flagship franchise of the NBA, which is not the San Diego fucking Buffalo Clippers. It's not them. Okay, they are not a flagship franchise. That's why this thing isn't even as bigger. Imagine the owner of the Lakers, or a minority owner, is contesting her own family about a sale of a 17% stake, and that is not only big news, but it's national news. Imagine if this same story was happening with the Lakers in terms of paying LeBron under the table, who is actually worth it, who is actually a pitchman, and who actually won a championship. Well, imagine if that happened with this, how big of a story it would be. So that's the reason
for sure. And bro, I 100% agree with you on this. Yeah, exactly. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about a couple of things here. Accountability. We're talking about the fact that there was a pattern of behavior from Kawhi and his representation, Uncle Dennis. We saw some of the reports that he was asking Jeannie Buss for a bunch of things that were not necessarily legal. I'm asking for a plane to sign with the team. You know what I mean? Like, what is this, blue chips now? A house? You give a kid a tractor? What do we give these kids? Money? Bags of cash? I mean, these kids wanted something. We gave it to them. But this is different now, because not only was he taking money, he was doing nothing for these companies. So it was a blatant violation. It wasn't like, hey, we cut you this deal like LeBron. Hey, LeBron, can you show up and sign some autographs? Can you do some posts, a commercial, a radio spot, whatever the case is? Remember, they said, well, Anthony Davis, whatever he doesn't make here, he can make as a shadow producer of Space Jam 2. And by the way, for anyone who wants to throw that shade out there, Anthony Davis actually appeared in the movie Space Jam 2. So you can't even really freaking use that as a direct comp. That is what makes this so shady. It's everything that Uncle Dennis was asking for, which was in violation of the salary cap rules. And it was the fact that Kawhi was accepting money, right? And you could see tax returns on this too, and talk to accountants and whatnot. What if you accepted this money? What did you do? And I would talk to the people from Aspiration, from Daktronics as well. Did he do anything in agreement, or how was he getting paid? Was he a silent partner? Was he an investor, or were you paying him as a spokesperson? And what did he do in order to honor that agreement?
Pablo Torre has already done all the investigation for them.
And yet the NBA sees nothing. All of Pablo's Pablo's lying?
I'm going to take the NBA at their word. No. I'm going to take the NBA at their word that they believe that Ramona and Baxter Holmes and Shams Charania are not correct. It's been a bunch of reporters getting called out by other entities like the NBA, as well as
Shams with the Jeannie Buss thing. By the way, that was not. Hold on, I want to say something about Shams. He was not wrong in that. That was something from the Buss family, not necessarily Jeannie. He didn't say that this statement came from Jeannie Buss. He said the Buss family. This was
Correct.
reported to him from the lawyers. So everyone needs to calm the fuck down and get off of Shams' back. When you are a reporter and you have sources, you are reporting on what those sources tell you. Okay? And if it ends up being bogus or bad information, then so be it. This is what I did. I tried to verify it best I can through multiple other sources, and it came out wrong. But that scenario wasn't wrong necessarily. It was just separate from Jeannie Buss, unbeknownst to Shams Charania at the time.
Yeah, unbeknownst. Well, Chris, we've covered a lot of off the court stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in about a month or so, we'll be able to discuss some on the court stuff because we'll be getting into the first week of training camp in about 5 weeks.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Give or take.
We have a time for RIP. 2 minutes.
Let's go ahead and go into RIP.
For sure. Well, first of all, not an RIP, but maybe career-wise. Shout out to the great Neko Ogumake, first of all. I'm going to get to Hayden Panettiere and Bill Rasmussen in a second. I just want to say shout out to Neko Ogumake, who announced on the Boardroom podcast with Taylor Rooks that she is retiring at the end of the season. She's after playing the last couple of years with the Seattle Storm, she came back to LA as the Sparks this year. Unfortunately, the Sparks once again are terrible. Likely going to miss the playoffs, I think, for a 6 or 7 straight year now. It's been a long time. But NECA calls it a career after 15 fantastic years, a former champion, a league MVP, an 11-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, top, I think, he's made the 25-year anniversary team. Also made, 7 or 8 all WNBA teams, 7 all defensive teams, and has been the president of the Players Association for a long time for the WNBA. And I had the pleasure of covering her for a number of years when she was with the Sparks on a part-time basis. But I tweeted this out today, Chaz, class personified, win or lose. She answered all the questions with a level of care, of kindness, genuinity, and a word that she used a lot was grace. So I wish her nothing but the best. In the next phase of her career, I heard she may be continuing to play in Project B, but she's going to have a good career in broadcasting or marketing or whatever she decides to do. I've always been a fan of the great Neko Ogumake. So shout out to her. Second, RIP to the great Hayden Panettiere. Chaz, she was our age. She was 36. Passed away suddenly over the weekend due to cardiac arrest. They're still looking into that. It was a shame. Obviously, a lot of people may say, well, where do Hayden Panettiere? Think of Remember the Titans, Cheryl Yost. Think of Joe Somebody. Think of Malcolm in the Middle, Heroes, Nashville. She did a ton of stuff, Chaz. She was a really very talented actress, had some personal struggles. She was married to the great heavyweight champion, Vladimir Klitschko. They have a daughter together, Kaya. Even though her and Vlad had divorced, they still called each other best friends in life. They were bonded through their child. So he got full custody as she was trying to get her life together. And it's just such a sad story because she was very young, very talented. And I just wanted to give her a shout out. Any comments on that before our next RIP, Chaz?
Man, our RIP to Hayden. It's just a sad story. And she let's just say she knew too much is the sentiment that is going around. So hopefully there's no foul play, but we'll just let all the facts come out. But RIP to her and prayers up for her family, especially her daughter and family.
Yeah. Thank you. Well said. Bill Rasmussen. A lot of people are like, who's that? Founder of ESPN back in 79. The same year we were just talking about Jerry Buss buying the Lakers. There was another pioneer on his way to doing great things. And that was the great Bill Rasmussen, who just passed away at the age of 93. And when you talk about sports media, right? And obviously it's grown significantly. We've got regional networks. We've got regional radio networks. We have got a ton of channels now where you could watch games, watch just football games, just college games. Just all of this. It all started in 79 in Bristol, Connecticut. With SportsCenter being the flagship program with Bob Lee and Chris Berman. And it was Bill Rasmussen's idea and his courage and his innovation. And I think the best word to describe him is a TV pioneer. This guy had the idea for a 24/7 sports channel. And we have seen, and say what you want about ESPN. I know there's been a lot of sentiments in recent years of how poorly they're run and the layoffs and the political messaging, whatever you want to think. The fact of the matter is, whatever you want to think, it has still stayed the gold standard of sports media. And if you want to watch a big time game, if you want to watch Monday Night Football, if you want to watch the NBA Finals, if you want to watch a college football final, chances are at one point or another, it's Sports Center, of course, it's going to be on ESPN. And it was built, and it all started in '79 with a guy by the name of Bill Rasmussen. And I didn't realize who he was until I started doing some research. And I said, man, when you think about the Ted Turners of the world, the General Sarnoffs, the people that started these great networks, right? You got to throw Bill Rasmussen in there, because the sports media landscape would not even be anywhere close to where it is now had it not been for that man 47 years ago. So RIP, sir. And thank you for setting the gold standard. Chaz and I would not be here on this podcast had it not been for our love for sports, which started on ESPN and Sports Center. Chaz?
Shout out Bill. Shout out ESPN. RIP to Bill and his family. He was 93, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Had Parkinson's, but lived a great life, a storied life, man.
Yeah, absolutely. RIP Bill, and shout out to his family as well as all the colleagues at ESPN. Because like you said, say what you want about them, they're still the gold standard.
They're here. Love them or hate them, they're still here.
Well, we appreciate you guys tapping in with us on the Outlet Forum. We will see you guys next week. We will have another show for you, I'm sure, talking more Lakers ownership drama. Hopefully by then we can talk some on the court stuff a little bit more, and maybe Jonathan Kuminga will sign maybe in LA or Minnesota, or maybe he goes
elsewhere.
I don't know. We'll see. But appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. Thanks for tapping into the Outlet Forum. Great show.